Welcome to We're Talking Bears,
where we bring you the latest in the Chicago Bears experience.
I'm Uncle,
Nephew,
and I'm Son,
and we're talking Bears.
Cuz, what up? Hey,
that's the word, man.
Hey.
I know you've been hearing all the latest news. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm super excited to see all the moves the Bears have been making. I feel like Poles is locked in, and just turning our team around. Man, we've made some huge moves with the free agency just opening, and we haven't even touched draft day yet. So I'm super excited. I definitely want to get your feedback and hear what you have to say, what you think about free agency so far. We still got a lot of ways to go before the season, so I'm sure there's this is just the tip of the iceberg. So what do you like? What do you dislike? And how do you think we move forward as far as like what positions we're still looking at and what our positions of need are now that we've made some moves?
Yeah, man. I'm hyped. I like all the changes that we've made. I like the players that we brought in. I like how we haven't gone crazy. You know what I mean? Like just picking up any and everybody, just the big high dollar contracts like the freaking Washington Commanders do all the time. You know,
right.
Poles has been smart. So we got for a reasonable amount of money for reasonable contracts we brought in. Hold up, I got the list right here. We got Nate Davis, who's played right guard exclusively for the Tennessee Titans up to now. He is I think the number 17 ranked guard or something like that in the whole NFL per PFF. Now that's including both right and left guards. So that's so 17 out of 64 starting guards. Right. That's excellent. That's a great move. Love that. We got Tremaine Edmonds from the Buffalo Bills, who is a absolute stud on their defense this past year. We got TJ Edwards from the Super Bowl contending Philadelphia Eagles squad, who was their starting linebacker. We got Andrew Billings, who he played on a Raiders front that was severely underrated. That man is a run stopper in the middle of the defense to play the nose. Love that. DeMarcus Walker, who another Titans guy. Man, that dude was nasty rushing from the 3 technique. He's a defensive end, defensive tackle, like kind of a hybrid player, right at that like 280 pound, 6'4", like big, strong dude, but kind of moves interior to pass rush on passing downs. That's a great pickup. Helps with the run on the run downs and the pass rush on the passing downs. So, and then we picked up a couple of Panthers, Deontay Foreman, who, man, he was a absolute brick house running the ball for the Panthers late in the season, compared favorably to Nick Chubb in some in some metrics. And that's that power game that we lost when when David Montgomery walked and signed to the Lions.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of pickups, a lot of moves, but we still got a lot of holes. The right tackle, big hole. We thought we were going to get a guy like Orlando Brown. That deal kind of never materialized. And, it's just, you can't fix everything in one free agency period. And teams that build through free agency tend to lose. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to the draft now. Right tackle, center. Those are 2 big question marks on offense. That's really the last big question marks on our entire offense, which I think is fantastic for Justin, for his development. And then, but we got to, let's talk about the offense for a second, because the offensive line could use some more work. Like, what would you like to see us do in terms of like attacking that right tackle spot in the draft? Like, we could pick a guy with the number 9 overall pick. We could pick a guy in like the early mid-second round type, like day 2. Like, how would you like to hit that? Because
to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. Originally, ending this season, seeing how our offensive line performed, I was big like, let's revamp this offensive line. Let's get that together. Let's make that a focal point. And then also defensive line, etc. I really felt like we needed to key in on those spots and attack those hard immediately. You know, I wanted those to be the first places we looked. But seeing how they entered free agency, then revamp the linebacker core, I actually like the way they're going about it. You know, they're not just like, okay, we can only do this. We're only looking here. You get what I'm saying? It's like, let's see what works best for our team. And with that being said, I think that what I'd like to see them do, I definitely want them to address that. I wouldn't be mad if they picked somebody, you know, with the number 9 pick for that spot, if they think they're going to get a big time player to come in for us at that number 9 pick. But I actually, after seeing what Poles and his team has been doing, I'm actually cool. I trust them. If they traded back or they felt like they weren't getting the guys or the people they expect or they want to have on their team in that number 9 slot, I actually trust them to put the right pieces in place. I don't think everything happens overnight. So I trust the way that they've been moving. I do want us to address that though. Like I said, my mentality is I'd like them to come into the draft and address that with that number 9 pick. But if there's another way for them to go about it, like you said, initially I was looking at Orlando Anderson. Orlando Brown, right? Orlando Anderson, I'm tripping. Orlando Brown, I was looking at him and I was really hoping that we could have got somebody like that. But seeing the way they've been putting things together, I love what they're doing with the team. And like you said, they're not just overspending. They're not just throwing money at the problem and saying, hey, let's do it like this. But they're really getting quality guys that are going to come in and help our team. So with that being said, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying I'm not stuck to one particular plan of action. You get what I'm saying? We have a few holes, like you said, still to address. And as long as we get the best possible picks that we have, we can make the best possible moves that we can make. I'm all for it. I mean, if we don't get the best guy in that position, but we're able to get the best team fielded, I'm all for it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
So hopefully, though, hopefully we can address it. Though I'd like for us to get a stud at right tackle, and
man.
There's
a couple guys. There's a couple guys that look like they could be available at that spot. Peter Skoronski from Northwestern. He got a little short arms for a tackle. He's a little bit of a T-Rex dude, playing that right tackle spot. But Paris Johnson kind of fits that prototype, and he's an Ohio State guy. Justin Fields already his friend, so he's gonna come out and be really blocking hard for Justin Fields. So a guy like that too, if he's on the board at number 9 when the Bears pick, I would probably say that's probably what Poles is going to do. I would be really surprised if he was there and we were at 9 and we passed on him for some reason. But I don't really think there's an answer in free agency anymore or via trade. A lot of people have been saying, like, since the Bengals signed Orlando Brown, their left tackle is now available on the market. That dude is like the worst starting left tackle in the league. I don't want him. I don't want us to give up assets for a dude who can't protect Joe Burrow when he gets rid of the ball in 0.1 seconds and now he got a block for Fields.
Right.
That's not a good fit, I don't think. So I say we just roll into the draft. There's a couple of guys out there. Darnell Wright from Tennessee. I think Will Anderson, who's like the best edge rusher in the entire class, said like that's the toughest dude I had to run up against. Like I couldn't get past him. And he blanked Will Anderson on the stat sheet. Like no sacks, no pressures, nothing. So he's a stud, and he might be there when we pick in the 2nd round. I would expect if we don't go with Paris Johnson at the top of the draft, then that might be what we do kind of in the 2nd round. But he's not as good of a scheme fit, I would say, and Poles tends to stick to that. He talks to his coaches. That's another thing I want to talk about because it doesn't get highlighted enough how intelligently Ryan Poles is building this team, right? So what I heard that Ryan Poles scouting procedures for, free agents, for drafting rookies, whatever, is the same for everybody. What he does is he has the basic, your basic scouts go and say, hey, this guy. Then once you do that, he has an analytics team that then applies like, okay, well, what does like the PFF stats say and like the advanced, next gen stats and the metrics and all that stuff, right? So you got those guys. Then you hand that list of those guys that, that make it through those first 2 categories of scouts Then he hands that to the coaches, which is something that doesn't happen in a lot of front offices. He hands that to the coaches and say, okay, which guys do you like? Which guys would you want to coach? And which guys would you want to build your team around? And then that gives a lot more input, a lot more connection between, you know, the GM bringing guys into the team and the coaches being invested in those guys' success, right? They feel like those are their picks, their guys. And I think that's brilliant. That's a brilliant way to build a team. It's going to get guys that not only fit your scheme, that not only have the ability, the physical abilities to do the things your coaches are going to ask them to do, but it's also going to bring in guys that your coaches personally identify with, that they feel personally responsible for, and that's going to get the best out of everybody, I think. So,
I agree.
you know,
I agree. That actually is kind of cool, though. I hadn't heard that until recently either, but I think that's actually an incredible thing to do, because like you said, that gets everybody on board, and it makes the coaches, when you get a selection of the guys you want, you ask for these guys and you had something to do with picking these guys, then you feel accountable too, and you also want to see them do well. And I feel like that puts everybody in that place of like, we all want to do well together. You get what I'm saying? Versus like sometimes, and it sucks, but sometimes you have a talented player who just doesn't have the attitude that's needed, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, you can't, and I think that's what's really important. And that's why I like how they're going about this, putting the team together, because it's not about just putting talented guys on the field. You get what I'm saying? They got to be able to work together. They have to fit the whatever the team's play style is, or the schemes that the coaches come up with. And I actually think that that's probably one of the best ways to accomplish that. You get what I'm saying? You get everybody on board, and then it's like, hey, now you got what you asked for. Let me see what you can do. You know what I mean? So, I'm excited, man.
I've been on teams where, you know, the guys are super talented and super athletic and super fast and can do everything you ask them to do, but they just don't want to do what the coach wants, or they don't want to do what the team needs necessarily. And, you know, I won't name names, but there's been, you know, even certain cousins of ours that maybe have, you know, a certain kind of you know, scarring on their forehead, like kind of right there, that, you know, doesn't necessarily work in the team dynamic as well. So, you know, I've been on those teams, you know what I mean? And it's definitely something that can derail what could be a contender. So I think he's really smart about how he's putting his team together in terms of the, you know, the locker room, in terms of making sure he's getting guys that want to be here. Man, like the way that these free agents are talking about Justin Fields, man, like I'm gonna play a clip, right? I'm gonna play a clip right here.
Did who's playing quarterback have anything to do, you know, when you sat down with the teams? You consider who quarterback might be, because you need one of those to win. Excuse my French, absolutely. You know what I'm saying?
Did it play a factor in your decision to come here that you get to play with Justin Fields? He said, abso-fucking-lutely. Right. Abso-fucking-lutely. Teams beg for quarterbacks to try to recruit, to try to bring people, you know, to their organization. Like Aaron Rodgers, they're always asking him, oh, can you bring in some free agents? Can you, you know, stick your hat out, whatever, yada, yada, and bring in some key guys? And it never sort of materializes for them, man. The Bears always sniping Green Bay's free agents and trade targets and whatnot. And man, to have a guy that guys want to play for, that guys want to be around, that's, man, it says a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm excited, man. The first move they made, trading down from 1 to 9, DJ Moore. I know we've discussed that on the other episode, but man, I'm just saying, like, these guys are ready, and they're putting key guys on the team that are just gonna make us better. I feel like in just the first few days free agency has been open, we're already a better team, like substantially. And I just think that we're just gonna keep getting better. What I will say is that this poses first going into his second year, right? Second year. And he definitely has a mind for the game, because to me, he's strategically going about putting this team together. You know what I'm saying? He knows what he wants. It appears like he knows what it's going to take to turn this team around and really focusing on what we need to address on our depth chart. So I'm excited, man. And I think that it's great. It's nice to see one of the brothers in that spot with an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And he played O-line, so, you know, hopefully he's got the mind that's like, we need to protect Justin. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I can't lie, I'm excited. I can't wait to see what they do next.
I think I got a good prediction for what they're gonna do next, right? So
let me hear it.
So we've been filling out the roster with, backups, role player guys, key roles like third down running backs. Travis Homer we picked up for that. We've been filling out the roster with guys that are gonna play significant minutes. Robert Tonyan, another guy, that backup tight end from Green Bay. Man, our backup tight ends last year were trash, man. Trayvon Wesco or whatever his name. God, I hope I never see him in a Bears jersey again. But like some of these dudes that we're picking up, man, they could be real significant pieces to sustain success, whether that's in a role that's, just special teams, whether that's, a significant offensive or defensive role. What I love the most, though, is the way that he's setting this up, because we had, 5 draft picks, something like that, when he showed up last year, turned that into 11. Now we've got 10 draft picks this year after trading down, and he's probably going to turn that into, at least 12 or 13 by the end of the draft. We're picking at the top of every round, so some of those are going to be trade backs for sure. So when it comes to something he said when he first joined up, he was like, oh yeah, we're gonna be smart. And one thing that stuck with me, he said, we're gonna play the compensatory pick formula. And what that is if you're not aware, what that is at the end of each free agency period, the NFL kind of tallies up the free agents you lost and where they went and signed and the contracts they signed and the amount of snaps they play for their new team and the success they have versus the free agents you signed yourself, and what kind of value difference you're getting. And playing that formula, if you're doing it right, what you'll get, like San Francisco has like 3 extra third-round picks this year. They got like 2 extra third-round picks last year, a bunch of 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever, to the point where you're just given free draft picks to keep filling your roster. Because what happens then is, as you select all of these players, some of them are going to be very good and you'll retain some of them, but you'll eventually have too many good players to retain. That's the situation San Francisco is in right now, is they have a team that's amazing, that's so amazing that they could drag any quarterback, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, to damn near to the Super Bowl, to the doorstep. And at that point, you're going to lose free agents. You're going to lose more people than you gain. Right. Because once you select all of those talented players, they're going to go play for other teams. They're going to succeed there, and then you're going to get even more picks to then select from. And if he does that, that sets you up for sustained success, because you'll just have a glut of talent on your roster at all times. And especially at the less premium positions, you know what I mean? Like interior offensive line, that's super important. Running back, that's always super important. So I really like the way he's doing this, because it seems like in free agency, he's not just going out and picking up 100 guys. We got a whole roster to fill out, but he's looking to do this mostly through the draft, and it's right. Obvious.
Yeah, and I'm happy about that, man. We need the young talent around fields so we can, like you said, sustain success, man. That's what it's about. But so what do you think is next? What's coming next? What do you think?
Man, honestly, I think we're gonna be focusing on these pro days. I don't think they're gonna really make too many moves in free agency. I think it's all about the draft from here on out for Poles and company. It's another month until it starts, month and a week.
Yep.
I think they're just gonna try to make sure that they're hitting on as many picks as possible. But honestly, I kind of like this roster. Even if we had to go into battle with our offensive line not quite finished, and we had like Larry Borum start at right tackle again.
Yeah.
With the way the rest of the offensive line is built, honestly, I'm not that upset at that, because Larry Borum wasn't absolutely terrible at right tackle. He couldn't really do the things that we wanted him to do in the run game, and his pass protection was, we'll say average, which is fine, I guess. But if we went into battle like that for a year, I mean, with the weapons we've added around Fields, with another year of experience in our system, I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to say we're gonna have one of the better offenses in the entire NFL. I would say we're gonna be a top 10 offense because of how dynamic Fields is. Like on that 5-game stretch last year, we were the number 1 scoring offense in the league, with Equinemius St. Brown and Dante Pettis and N'Keal Harry, and that was, we were the number 1 offense for like 4 or 5 games with almost no help from defense whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I mean, even if we walked into the season before the draft, I feel confident that we've already added at least 4 wins to our win total. You know what I mean? Like we had what, 3 wins this year, so minimum 7 wins is what I expect.
And I mean, to be honest, to be completely honest, we had 3 wins in what seems like a season that we wanted to kind of get a nice draft pick in. I'll say it like that. We had 3 wins with games I felt like were close that we potentially could have won with the team we had.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: what I'm super excited about is with the offense, like you just said, we've upgraded, right? But last year's offense produced in such a way that we were in a lot of games, and the defense didn't show up.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the changes we've made on defense, that would change the entire complexion of some of those close games that we had. Most of our games were close this past season. Absolutely. Even for us to be have a sorry old line and almost no defense once we got rid of Quinn, and we will no D line. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have anybody to apply pressure. Our secondary was okay, but you get what I'm saying? So, but now seeing the moves they made, I totally agree with you. If we were to go into battle even before the draft, I think our defense has gotten better, and I think our offense has gotten better. So I think naturally, I'll give you the 7 just because I still want to see us get better, and I'm sure we will. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was even more games than that. You get what I'm saying? I'm just really excited to see what these guys are going to get out there to do. Hearing from the free agents that we have picked up, man, they're super stoked from the interviews I've heard. They're excited to be playing with Justin. They're excited to be on the Chicago Bears team. I heard Edmonds I forget which interview he was doing, but he was just talking about he was like, yeah, you know the legends and all the Bears linebackers and the great history of linebackers and defenses that we've had, and he's just like, I want to come in and pretty much make a name for myself, and I hope that he continues to look at it that way. You get what I'm saying? He talked about Urlacher and how, of course, he's learned some things watching Urlacher, and you want to come to a team and be able to produce like that. So, man, I'm just excited that they're excited. And I'm hoping that I have a feeling next season is going to be a drastic change from the one we just had. I just can't wait to see these guys get out here and to represent our city.
I think after this draft, because Poles is proven already just with last year that he knows what he's doing when it comes to the draft. He went in there with just a couple selections. We left with a ton of players. He went in there with late round picks. The highest pick was an early 2nd round pick. We came out of there with like 4 starters, and 3 of them were on the PFF all rookie team, right? So like I trust Poles when it comes to the draft just after this first draft, because that's the best draft we've had in a decade easily, other than the one where we got Justin Fields, right? Just because of him. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, that has to be the best draft we've had in a decade. But last year's draft with a 2nd round pick and just a couple of little picks littered behind that was the 2nd best we've had, and like I think we're gonna come out of that. I think Poles has his eyes on a number of like small school guys that we don't know about, that he's gonna shotgun that late round, I think, like he did last year, where you just take a lot of cracks at a lot of different positions and see what sticks. I think we're going to come out of there with at least 1 new cornerback, maybe 2, to bolster that room. I think we're going to come out of there with another safety that he likes. I think we're going to come out of there with maybe another running back who can stretch the field and maybe be more of a pass receiving option, because that's still kind of a hole in our RB room. I think we're going to come out there with at least 1 right tackle and at least a center, in addition to maybe another offensive lineman or 2. And I think we're going to come out with at least 2 edge rushers. That will be my prediction for what our draft spread looks like in terms of, I don't know where he's going to pick these, but he could pick an edge rusher at 9. There's a lot of guys I think that are incredible. This class of defensive linemen is insane. So he might pick a tight end. This tight end class is really deep. But I think that generally speaking, that's kind of the distribution that's going to come out. And when we come out with all of that youth and all of that talent, and we infuse that into the roster we've got and put those pieces around Fields, and then this defense, like Kyler Gordon came on really strong last year. Jaquan Brisker was absolutely crushing it at safety. Honestly, I think he was the best. There were other safeties, rookie safeties that maybe had better stats, but they were playing in a much better situation. I think Brisker probably was one of the, if not the best overall safety out of the rookie class last year, and I think once they have a pass rush in front of them, once they have good linebackers in front of them that can make plays and bring that defensive attention and the quarterback's eyes down to that second level, then that defensive secondary is going to be allowed to really do what they do, which is ball hawk, hit people, and be sticky as hell in coverage. Because man, Jalen Johnson, we already know what he do. He's not going to get a lot of interceptions, but you're not going to catch a lot of passes either. Right. Brisker is Brisker. We love him. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Bojack, man, what do we got to say about that, man? He back to form. Love to see him, patrolling the deep end like he's supposed to. And then Kyler Gordon, I don't know whether they're going to move him to outside or keep him in a slot. He was kind of doing both of them poorly at the beginning of the year, and then both of them well by the end. So, we're definitely going to add another corner to that room to kind of solidify that. But I think that's a real big strength of our team that's very underrated. And, I'm really thinking this defense is going to be much improved. Those close games that we lost, Miami, where they scored 35 or whatever, we lost because it was 32-35, or, Philadelphia, where we lost by 5 again, I want to say. And that was 25-20 or something like that. We're hanging with some of the best teams in the league. With no defense whatsoever.
Right.
Now we've strengthened our offense so that they can be more consistent in delivering those points the way that they did during that mid-season stretch. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think we're going to be a really, really big problem.
Me too.
Some really tough teams.
And one of my favorite things is just the culture that it looks like Coles is creating here again in Chicago, because we've got a young team, legit. You know what I'm saying? Some of the older guys, I mean, of course, Roquan was our boy. We hate to see Quinn go, but these older guys are not really going to be around for the Justin Fields era. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So to get the youth in there, I'm excited about, and to be a team that's kind of like, we're at the bottom of the league, able to get the first pick, right? But we're not a bottom team, if that makes any sense. We have a lot of great Justin Fields, like you said, to mention how guys would love to play for him and they want to play. We have the youth that can attract these other guys. And in my opinion, the young guys coming into the draft this year, the guys that get picked up undrafted or whatever, but the young guys that are coming into the league, I think this is ideal, especially when you're creating a culture of of teamwork. You get guys to play together and you want to win. You get all these young guys in the door, and it's like, this is what we're trying to do. And if you don't fit that, you're gonna have to get out. But right now, we don't have to worry about those cancers of the locker room, or guys that's like, oh, I'm more worried about the fact that I didn't get a good contract this time, versus, you get what I'm saying, winning games. And now we have all these young guys that are going to be coming in. We still have some veterans, but all these young guys that'll be on their first contracts, early second contracts, and they're trying to win. And we've actually got some good talent and guys that are going to be able to come and make a name for themselves. And so that's really what I'm excited to see. Like you said, we've been able to see it at a Brisker. I think he was definitely I think he was the best safety in the rookie class. But we get to see guys like that get to mature and become great on our team and on our watch. So I'm hoping that Poles hits on the draft again. I'm sure they'll be great. And it's just really nice to see all these young guys coming in with all that excitement and that zest for the team and to look forward to the future.
Sure. Absolutely. And man, it's good to see, man. But another aspect of that is Fields' leadership, man. Anytime you talk to that man, anything you talk to him about when it comes to football, he don't care what the stats are. Right. He don't care who got how many catches or how many yards he threw for or how many touchdowns he got. He cares about dubs. Yep. He cares about wins and losses. And that's reflected in the roster top to bottom now. And I absolutely love that kid is our leader. And that's the kid that's going to run this, because that's the type of energy you need, man. That's the type of energy you need at the top. And that trickles down all the way through the organization. And not to blur lines or anything, but we've seen it. It's become popular almost. It's kind of dying out, I feel like, in the NBA, but it became popular to the point where we can see a guy like Durant, Harden,
Irvin. It's like you guys aren't close to winning. You know what I mean? So it's bigger than just the talent. So I agree with you, man. That's the biggest piece for me as well. The fact that he's our leader and the leadership we do have from the field to the front office, it seems like they're all on that same page. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely, man.
I'm excited.
I think we hit it out the park when we picked Poles as our executive. You know, like he's a former player. He was, you know, in Bears training camp, as far as I'm aware. I don't know how far it went past that, but man, he was out here in a Bears jersey trying to make us win, you know, with his bare hands, and now he's doing it with his mind, and I love it.
Right. Absolutely, man. So yeah, hey, this is just the start. This is still week 1 of free agency, so there's so much more to be done and so much more that can happen, and I'm sure they're working around the clock as far as figuring out what their next moves will be. I can't wait to see it, man. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, man. We're gonna be covering this, you know, rolling all the way up to the draft. We'll be covering the draft. We'll give, you know, breakdowns when we can of all the different players that we pick up. You know, the free agents that we've picked up. We're gonna, you know, take some deep dives, look at those guys and what they do well. So keep in tune with us. Keep watching. We're gonna keep bringing you the best fan coverage of the Chicago Bears that you know we possibly can. So I hope you guys are enjoying the show.
You know it.
You know, and let's bear down, man. Let's bear down.
Bear down. You already know. Them guys.
Yeah.
We're always talking Bears, man. We're always talking Bears. And you know what's really good about this is I know I speak on this all the time. You Chicago fans of other teams, get ready, man, because I'm telling you, once Justin Fields gets a hold of it, he's not letting go. He's still a young kid. Just watch.
Yep.
Just watch.
All right. Well, I'm Son.
I'm Nephew.
And we're talking
Bears.